Attorney Brenda Pimentel, thank you for making time for Business and Politics. You travel all the time, and my pleasure is reading your thoughts and views every Wednesday in the Maritime section of our paper. But one of the things I've recently encountered is this term blue economy. I had to look it up. I have to be, because I'm not familiar with it, but maybe it should come from you. What is blue economy, and why is it important to the Philippines and Filipinos?
Yeah, blue economy is a new concept. I think it was introduced only just at the turn of the millennium, and it's focusing on the uses and the things that we generate out of the seas. You know, if you're familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, there is under number 14 SDG, life below water.
Yes.
So that is a recognition. But then, of course, now the focus is going into let's protect the seas and the oceans, because it is giving us a lot of benefits. You know, a ball pen that a student carries is probably carried by a ship from Japan or China to the Philippines. So everything, maybe 90% of what we use, what we wear,
came from somewhere else.
And it is transported by maritime mode of transport. So that's how important it is. You ask for the Philippines what it is.
Yes.
We are an archipelago.
Okay.
And you are surrounded by a lot of waters. So even if you look at the SONA of President Marcos, he talked of so many dreams that he shares with the Filipino people. And if you go one by one, everything is attached to the sea.
Okay.
Like, for example, he says he wants to replicate the specialized hospitals that we have in Luzon, in the Visayas, and in Mindanao.
Right.
How do you bring the construction materials?
You don't airlift it.
Yeah, of course. The equipment that you will use in the hospitals, it is by mode of sea. It is by sea transport mode. And of course, he talks also of job generation. You know, you look at the ecotourism that we have. How many jobs are created by that type of business? Fishermen, of course, fishermen, they need to be uplifted.
Right.
And the most important, of course, as we know, is our seafarers. And then you have the shipyard workers, the port workers. There are a lot of them, and every island probably would have some sort of a port, not as big as what we have in Manila, but there will be some crane operators who will be working. So that's a lot. And I tell you, probably there will come a time, if we are able to make use of these opportunities provided by our seas, we may not need to send our kababayans.
There will be opportunities at home
to work in Saudi Arabia, where they are maltreated and all this. So how many of the time are spent by Congress discussing about OFWs? So, but how did we ever hear the same number of hours they spend talking about job generation
local,
from the coastal areas? How I wish it will happen. You know, so
in the Philippines, they say that the Filipino fisher folk are among the poorest of the poor, and this is, I think, the point that you're also trying to make, that there are a lot of opportunities, and yet somehow maybe the policy work or the interventions are not there. I'd like to tie it in with some of the recent events in the news that I've heard. One, the decision to import fish from abroad. Is this part of the blue economy? And also maybe this problem we're having in the West Philippine Sea, where different countries are trying to compete for fishing in that area. Is this also part of the blue economy? And what should be the government discussion around those issues of the blue economy?
Of course, that should be part of your blue economy because
Okay.
fishes, even galunggong
Yeah.
and all,
They're not within national borders.
are harvested from our seas.
Yeah.
And yet, of course, maybe promoting the blue economy of another country by
Yeah.
importing their products from the sea.
Yeah.
So, well, one thing that we are missing in this country is, of course, marine environment protection. And, I like galunggong very much, especially the small ones.
Yeah.
But there is a possibility that maybe they are being eaten by invasive species,
Okay.
which are brought by ballast water from the tanks of a ship. It's possible, but that has never been thought about. And as I said earlier in our discussion, we are talking about the product itself,
Okay.
but we have not looked into how do we uplift our fishermen.
Yeah.
It's not only in the Philippines, by the way, that the fishermen
You were
are the
saying-
poorest. It's the poorest among the agricultural workers
all over
the
the
world.
world.
It was established by the United Nations. And one thing is that you can look at it, how are we ensuring safety of our fishermen? When there is typhoon in the Philippines, we talk about ships being, having accidents, crew and passengers being rescued.
Right.
But have we ever really thought about how many bangkas fishermen lost their lives? I'm sure there are more.
It's unreported.
Yeah, unreported,
Yeah.
or not even considered in conversations. So
Yeah.
it's not like, they're the poorest, but what makes it even parang painful for them, that's hurting them, is that their concerns are never even discussed. So, there is a convention on the safety of fishermen. We have not ratified that one, but I hope soon the Philippines will ratify. But again, the fishermen that we're talking about for that convention are those that are going out of the country, the big,
Okay,
the
the
fishermen
big-
of the big
Big
fishing
vessels,
vessels,
yeah.
not the bangka,
Right.
the one who's really like taking the
Yeah.
fish from the sea and then selling it or eating
Yeah.
it. So I hope we
You
can.
were saying earlier when we were talking that there's also an aspect of environmental protection that's required, that should be looked at as an intervention also, because of course if the habitat of the fish is
Yes,
destroyed, then
Yes.
the fishermen have to go out farther
Yes.
out to sea and
Yes.
risk their lives, right?
There are many aspects of marine environment protection. Of course, when you look at pollution of the sea, you talk of oil spill,
Yeah.
you talk of garbage,
Plastics,
you
yeah.
talk of plastic marine litter coming from the beaches,
Yeah.
you talk of even ballast water. They're considered waste insofar as
Right.
shipping is concerned. But I think for the Philippines, we have ratified the major convention on marine environment protection
Okay.
from ships.
Okay.
From ships, because most of the marine litters that we see are actually from ashore,
Yeah.
not from ships. They contribute. The shipping contributes very little in marine environment
Okay.
pollution. Yet, for the Philippines, for example, how many bangkas do you have? The banana type of bangkas.
Right.
They wipe the oil from the bangka with drugs. If they throw it at sea with the oil,
Right.
and if you have 20,000 small bangkas
Doing
in
the
your
same
archive,
thing.
doing that every day.
Yeah.
So it's worse than oil spill.
Yeah.
So, but I mentioned to you, localization
Yeah.
is very important.
Yeah.
How aware are the people below
Yeah.
of the impact of the things that they do.
Yeah.
Okay, but discussions is always at the level of.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you talk about like fishing in this region, there is that added dimension of the geopolitical issues, right? That I don't know. Should there be a diplomatic intervention, because it's not just Filipinos but also Vietnamese, Chinese, Malaysian. Everybody in the region is practically affected. If we make things bad for one country, it's really bad for everyone in the region, right?
Yeah, the ASEAN, they have what we call Maritime Transport Working Group. They also have I think, an environment working group.
Okay.
So these are the technical people and the policy makers meeting every so often
Okay.
to discuss
Okay.
issues relating to marine environment,
Okay.
to transport, etc.
Okay.
I would think that they are looking at it. And
Well, what about the other thing is, and also in the news, I was listening to an interview of former Justice Carpio, of course talking about oil exploration, because we recently talked to the Chinese. Is that part also of the discussion of blue economy? Is that something that's...
it should be, because that is, exploiting the natural resources of a country. That should be part.
Okay.
But there are very specific areas in which each country would deal with these things. And blue economy, the strategy will vary from country to country.
Okay.
For example, a Pacific island country, if you have just one big island there, you probably will look at that blue economy strategy in a different way. For an archipelago, we have more than what an island state would have. So our strategies will change. For Singapore, for example, they have made use, optimized the use of the blue economy. So it will change from country to country. And as I said, I noted in the how many points of agenda in the president's, he has a 18-point agenda,
20, yeah.
20 or so. I saw that, the blue economy was in parentheses. I said, what could this mean? It's an afterthought that you have placed it there, when in fact, when you talk about our dreams, your dreams, you are practically speaking of a whole set of activities related to maritime.
Yeah.
So I think NEDA should be high in the blue economy issue, because as I said, everything comes...
It has to pass through the ocean.
Yeah.
Attorney, that's a very... if you don't mind, we'll take a quick break.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is SMNI's Business and Politics. Please stay tuned.